Campbell's there. Hi. Do you have any questions? Yes? No question?
Yes. Could I ask the questions?
Yes, love.
Hi, Rinpoche. This is Terence.
Yeah.
Thank you for a very wonderful teaching. My questions is related to the power of support and the 4 powers as we discussed yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 questions which are linked to each other. My first question is, we would learn that meditating and reciting on the teacher of VAJRASATTVA is the best practice to cleanse the obscurations. And so there's elements of a root lama. There's also elements of Buddha VAJRASATTVA. Is that because the key reason that VAJRASATTVA, when he was a bodhisattva, he pledged that whoever recites his mantra, that will be purified all the negative actions, obscurations. Is for that reason? If I turn this question in another way to say, even to replace VAJRASATTVA with other Buddha, such as Mesa Buddha or Buddha Shakyamuni in the same practice, will be the purifying effects to be the same. I'm trying to understand is that because the Bodhisattva vow from the Buddha VAJRASATTVA, that we say, okay, this practice is the best.
I mean, here is not maybe this case. Of course, the Vajrasattva, he generated great bodhicitta to say, if I'm big enlightenment, whoever connect to me, may I purify the obscurations. And maybe also this is, yes, maybe true. And this is, and also the element of, I don't know what your question is, element, the Vajrasattva and Lamas means. Here is like talking about your root teachers. In order to you practice Vajrasattva, without your teacher, you cannot to practice almost. Maybe you can to practice, but not much successful. There's a kind of the process, particularly in the tantric perspective. Without empowerment, almost there's no chance to practice any tantric practice things. And therefore, according the lineages, according the kind of profound way, is when you want to connect to the Vajrasattva, and you need through your teacher. And therefore, it's like kind of your teacher's representative of the Vajrasattva. And here is specifically Vajrasattva. The deity is, as you said, is like maybe his commitment, like more manifested for the purified sentient beings, obscuration. That is the true maybe. Like for example, Avalokiteshvara is the representative of the compassion. Matrishya is more representative of the wisdom. Like this sort of, like bodhisattvas, they take the manifestation or action, some specific. That is maybe is like true. But it's a you say it's like secondly you can to put uh, instead Vajrasattva, and you will like kind of to put different deities, Amitabha, medicine, Tara, and this is no problem. It's already and above there's mentioned. Also later it's there mentioned, and any kind of use the positive things. You maybe is practice Buddha medicine. That times Buddha medicine is the your like the power of the sport. You are doing the Tara. That moment Tara is the power of the sport. And like this, when you are doing the Vajrasattva sadhana, and then you are visualize the Tara or something, this maybe doesn't corresponding. Okay, that you need to know about. For example, you recited the generation like text of the Vajrasattva, but you're in imagine you put Buddha medicine or Tara, then it doesn't corresponding. And in this case, here is the specifically talking about the Vajrasattva. Otherwise, already any kind of virtues and relate to the 7 branches of the offerings, any other like according to sadhana, everything you can, yes.
Okay, thank you. Then my second question is talking about the power of support, because in the Sur practice we practice in the evening. We practice the sutra of the 3 hips.
Yes, that time is
why we practice this sutra if we say the Vajrasattva practice is the best for purifying the obscurations.
That is like
what's the role of the power of support in this occasion?
Okay, that is like more dedications, generating bodhicitta and ending dedications, more related to the 7 branches of offering. For example, these 3 hips of the sutta, they're inside like already like mentioned that 3 offerings of the branches, like prestations, confessions, and dedications. And therefore it is like you some is doing some for this generosity, these things is, for example, you generosity the food, you generosity the virtues, generosity or dedicate something, you recite the 3 hips quite very much profound. Of course you can do doing the Vajrasattva.
Okay, thank you. Then my last question, maybe a little bit silly. When I went to the text of this sutra of the 3 hips, about these 35 Buddhas, maybe I made a mistake, but when I went through all the names of this Buddha, none of those are Vajrasattva. Do you know what's the reason? If say Vajrasattva Buddha really is the best, that's how we practice for purifying. But how come in the 35 Buddhas there's no Vajrasattva?
That is like Vajrasattva is how do you say, it's like a little bit kind of the mysterious, do you understand? And maybe it's like relative perspective, probably it is some is the Buddhas maybe retinues, but absolutely levels is like kind of the nature of the reality. Maybe it's like a kind of how it is, maybe it's there's a mysterious. And also this Buddha, the 35 Buddhas, probably also is a little bit difficult to say, but this is maybe like kind of the appear in this world. This each one is names like same as the what you say. Maybe whoever heard my names, maybe they can to receive the benefit. Therefore, they are like kind of the putting the name. Each one is like the 35 Buddhas to first time call the name, then prestations, confess from that, and the virtues dedicate through this 35 Buddhas. And that therefore I think is Not necessarily, okay, love. Maybe, of course, if you can to say it's like to put even the Amitabha. I mean, it's like why is only the 35 Buddhas, but there's no Taras, and there's no kind of others. Why? But this is like everything's to put maybe for us complicated.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Lasso.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions?
Dasha, Dinara, and Christophe.
Yes, Rinpoche.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Rinpoche,
Yes.
I have a question regarding regret.
Okay.
It's a threefold question because, for instance, it is if you do VAJRASATTVA each day,
Yes.
and day you behave in a good way,
Yes.
and the day after you do again VAJRASATTVA, and then it's very difficult to engender regret because you already confessed the day before, and
Yes.
during that day nothing really happened. So that's the first problem I have with regret. The second problem with regret is sometimes you forget easily things and you don't remember things wrongdoing that you did. And the third thing is that sometimes you are not aware that you are doing something wrong, and you only become aware of wrongdoing long time after. And so I'm not sure I understand these regrets. What is the best way to engender it or to practice that special power?
Yeah, I think it's every day to keep your mindfulness. You take example on the past your experience, and that is you can to past your experience. You done positive things, negative things. You have experienced that positive and negative, and that is like when your study, your kind of the tested, and how it is the consequence of the positive negative. Then to put the mindfulness into your mind, and that is the best to regret the gender like agent solutions. And you like kind of the necessary, like you doing times you haven't got any mindfulness. After you kind of already done, you apply your mindfulness, it's too late. And then you cannot complain. And also it's like kind of you already kind of doing before, you have experience, you do it again. Also you forgot the mindfulness. And that is also you cannot to say it's difficult. But we are not really apply the mindfulness, what you done, what you have experienced. And if you really to put the mindfulness, you never do again that.
Okay, thank you, Rinpoche.
La sola.
Rinpoche, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Today I have two small questions, and
Yes.
first is I heard that some negative actions or broken samayas difficult or almost impossible to purify after 3 years. Is it true, or we can purify any of our negative deeds in any time?
The dasha. Generally, maybe you a little too fast. Okay, love. You already studied. Looks like this. Maybe normally, if you really to ask to some questions, whatever we studied yesterday until now, maybe you studied already these books is many times, 100%. Then you all is like ask things in the like we are not yet reached this level. Then is to maybe early, and therefore yes, it's true. It's like some. It's like example is like some food. If you put like kind of the outside or left in the kitchen, 3 days you can to eat no problem. After 3 days, impossible. It's rotten. It's poison. Exactly like this. If you broken the some is like kind of the samayas, and during the 3 years you don't do nothing. After it's like kind of big broken. It's very difficult to confess. How do you say, to purify it? But you can purify it. But it's take process a lot.
Okay, thank you. And another question: if we purify our negative action through Vajrasattva practice, does it mean that we are free from the ripening of negative consequences, and we are free from this negative action at all?
Also, it's like it's like you mean it's like which one said you the free?
For example, if we purify any negative action through the practice,
Yes.
and does it mean that we are free from the negative result of this
Yes.
action, and we will not experience the negative consequences of this action?
Yes.
Yes.
For example, your clothes, you have a lot of dirty, and you put in the washing machine. After washing machine, you wash it. Then your clothes with still your dirty these things or not?
Not.
Okay, same. Dirty is gone, but clothes is there. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Who else?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I have the question. Today you say what we can take to itself the problem and disease of other living beings. That's how the practice of Tonglen. I really want to do this practice, but I understand I feel a little bit fear about myself when I do this practice. I won't do, but feel the fear. But how is it better? Try to do this practice or not to do now? How I understand the problem of what I have no the level bodhicitta now. But I want to do this practice.
Yeah, that is true. It's still we have kind of the difficult to cut the ego oriented or the ego clinging or the grasping to our body and belonging things. That is the truth. And in this perspective, like in the sutta says, it's quite difficult immediately tonglen or giving and taking things. But I think it's what I said is like maybe it is like kind of if you like bodhicitta practice, maybe easily to take some circumstances on like into the path. Maybe when you are happy, that times you dedicate that to the sentient beings. My happiness is a representative of the sentient beings. May sentient beings be more happy than the me. I'm happy. Surely my happy is I'm happy. Then it's sentient beings should to be happiness. If you have some naturally, some is like occurring some negative circumstances, at that time most people's I am sick, I'm problems, and why it is like kind of only me, like this sort of. But maybe if you have generated bodhicitta, you say, why not? Anyway, how many times I lose my life? And in the sutta says, life and lifetimes are lost like a body, bone, flesh. If we can possible to collect, maybe like kind of the bigger than mountain mirrors. And that times I lost many times life, sick, these things. It doesn't matter. This is like kind of some negative consequence. And this negative consequence, maybe at the moment I'm sick, I'm a problem, I'm like this. But that is my like kind of the repayment. That is my kind of the purification. This is like this negative circumstance, purification of all the sentient beings. You give that as a representative of the sentient beings. I'm purified. I'm like taking my own difficult situation on me. Now I have this. This is like kind of for the representative sentient being. That is like you take or not take. When you this situation, you dedicate to the others. That's more easy. When you are healthy, like kind of when you practice jud or tonal times, you like really something you taking in, breathe out like breathe. Maybe that is not necessarily okay, because a little bit our mind is to become more advantageous and maybe more like kind of to practice intention bodhicitta, aspiration bodhicitta. May all the sentient beings to be free from suffering. May all sentient beings to be happy. This is very kind of the easy, very important. One day I can to exchange possible. May I quickly to become like bodhisattvas. This, but this morning I'm says like when you really to generate bodhicittas, when you occur in your life, happy, sorrow, any situations need to bring into path. For example, I'm repeat again. Someone's very happy, like healthy, beautiful, handsome, then they are very arrogant. They completely forgot it to concerning the suffering sentient beings, and they cannot to like bring into the path. When they are suffering, they completely go to under the earth, desperate. They say only me. Why problems? I like kind of prayer, I like calling Buddha, meditate, emptiness, chant. It doesn't work for me. It's like that time is like all the time is negative circumstance, but mind is to make more negative situations. And then is this situation, if you generate bodhicittas, any kind of circumstances doesn't matter, you are like make problems. Any situations you can to bring into the virtues. Okay, la? Okay, la. Others? Yes?
Rimachala, Yuko Otake has one question.
Etake.
Otake. In the quotation by Jetsun Mila, there was the next line. But if your thoughts have become positive, you are purified. Can you explain a little bit more what are these positive thoughts? What kind of positive thoughts would become the sign of the purification of our negative deeds?
Okay, these positive thoughts, Jetsun Malaripa says, if you have positive thoughts, that means in the future I don't want to do that. This is more, it's like, for example, we says, oh, yesterday I did, today I confess, I purified everything. Okay, and then maybe tomorrow I will do it, but day after tomorrow I will confess, then I will, no problem. Not like this. That means it's like to in the future you have like very strong resolutions, the virtual thoughts, and you says I never ever do again, like a kind of the remorselessly I confess I never do it like this. This is virtue. This in this context, virtue means that is.
Thank you. Anonymous person, do we break our vows not to steal and not to lie when we use for work or home some hacked software with a broken license, download films and books for free although we should pay for them?
It's okay. If they are free, then it's good, no problem, you are not stealing. It's free, you can download. If like someone is like you need to pay, and then you tricky way is like you are download, is take care of stealing, okay?
Thank you. Ivan, in some sutras, in Pali tradition, nirvana is described as a quality without elements of earth, water, fire, air, without sun or moon, movement or appearing, place or abiding. It is deathless, birthless, not created, without objects of senses. It is the cessation of suffering. Does it correspond to Mahayana's description of nirvana, or what is different?
This part, the nirvana, is a little handicap, yes? I make joke, okay. I mean, it's if you are like too much practice emptiness, then it's like if even you become the enlightenment, you are emptiness, then there is no luminosity activities, omniscient wisdoms, probably this sort of thing. Maybe it's not like this. When you be enlightenment, you are universal. You have such enlightened wisdom, Gaya's activities. This is like spontaneous present qualities. Like we say, it's like 4 fearless or the 10 fearless, 18 no mistake qualities. Like this 25 wisdom and Gayas. These are like spontaneous. It's the qualities of the nature of the mind as shine out when you be enlightenment. Like this.
Thank you. Alan Dechen asks, in the Sutra of the Three Hips, confession practice, where do we give rise to the mind of enlightenment? Where?
Oh, yes. Any kind of confession prayers need enhanced or embraced by the compassions. We already said in the text that without compassion, any kind of purifications, it doesn't work. That's all.
He asks, where do we find it in this text?
Where do we find?
Where do we give rise to the mind of enlightenment?
Not in the text. Before to start, you need to arouse in bodhicitta.
Thank you.
That's all. Okay. Do you have other questions? Already time is over. Thank you very much. Sonandaya tamche zipanya toni nimpa dana pamye te shega nanchi valan tripaya sapansol drokan drova shon chava semenchu rambo Xin kamsa pendon deva malu jong Xian zhen danza janzo ye Xiapi sente parda danger ji Pardan lami kase tenba tong kanyam yong la de xin jong Dao yin malu tsosa dabyon ni Nirde songji salan go par xio Xiva kanda yong dao lama tong Darmi chu ye pa la lo Sadon lam jeyang ten razo te dorjen chongo kompon nyer to sho karma rar marmer to yema sarva chobro to malam lo to tram Nuye chunan te ta la so la bonapati